So my name is Dean Bell, and I've been a member of Arise Church for about 18 or 20 years, somewhere along that timeline. So I was asked to give some comments about what I have been doing in terms of prayer for the Birchwood area. And because there are many social issues, it's a area of high deprivation. But even more than that, it's about the spiritual deprivation in many respects. This has been a burden for the church and for us for many years. But about 4 months ago, I had a very, very vivid dream. And in the dream, I saw myself in our church building, and I was literally living in the building and praying. And I even saw a little camp bed in one of the corners of the main auditorium, and at night I went and slept in there and then got up again early in the morning and started to pray. And towards the end of the dream, people then began to join with me, and I saw them in the dream coming through the doors to pray. And when I woke up, I knew immediately this was a God dream, and God impressed on me that I was to pray for 50 days. And for me, it would have been a big sacrifice of time to fitting that in with family, work, etc. But I was really strongly impressed that I needed to dedicate 50 days to praying for the Birchwood. So during the time when this was all being set up, God just kept showing me things in the spirit about how people were influenced by demonic strongholds over their lives. And I had this sense that in prayer we were going to cut the strings that were being pulled in people's lives that were causing negative reactions. So there were things like that God was showing me. And every time he impressed something like that upon me, I became even more emboldened and more passionate and more desiring to really push into this. So about, how long would it have been? About 4 weeks ago, I started praying in earnest, and I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I'd go and pray in church, and then go to work and do what was necessary, and then go back oftentimes in the evening and pray till 10 or 11 at night, and just then kept repeating that cycle. It has been quite a hard thing to do, because praying for that length of time can be difficult. So I've found, particularly in the morning, when I am tired, my body is tired, my mind is tired, that I tend to rely on what I call heavenly languages. So even though the body and mind is tired, the Bible talks about the Spirit gives us words when we run out of our own English words to express our heart. So it's a beautiful gift and enables me to pray for many hours, that I can pray in my heavenly language, and that overrides how my mind and my body are feeling. And so that's a great blessing to be able to do that. But into about the third or the fourth week, I'm going to call it blowback from demonic spirits. My wife Emma began to get sick, and some of the children began to get sick, and then I got sick, and then began to recover, and then I got poorly again, and prayer became like treading in treacle, and even more difficult. And I had to sit back and think, why is this? And I can only think of and use the parallel that when Moses went to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go," Pharaoh in turn basically said, "Oh, that's what you want, is it? Well, I'm going to make it harder for you." And he increased the workload. He took away materials and made them scavenger for straw. And as a result, the people of Israel came and complained to Moses and said, "Why are you doing this to us?" And very often when we're in the will of God, the backlash can be that righteousness will cause a reaction. And so there is a sense that when you press into the plans and purposes of God, then there will be resistance. And so we saw that resistance in the form of attacks on our health. So I am still praying, still going in earlies in the morning, early in the mornings, and praying through the afternoon and in the evenings very often. And the wonderful thing is, and this is hard to explain, but I keep seeing glimpses of something absolutely wonderful that God is doing. And Jesus said, knock and the door shall be open, seek and shall find, etc., etc. And I'm discovering that as I'm doing that and pushing in and seeking and pursuing God, He shows me little glimpses of what's ahead. And it is just utterly amazing, but I can't describe what it is because it's so heavenly, and I just see it in a flash of a moment, what God is doing. So anyway, the result is that I'm being obedient, and I'm getting towards the end of this 50 days, but I'm just honouring what God said that I was to do. And that was spend 50 days interceding for the Birchwood and praying for church, that God's kingdom will come and His will be done. And as we press in, things will begin to break, and there will be a greater sense of liberation and freedom on a whole number of levels within church and in the local community. So the only goal was to pray for 50 days. God never said there will be any particular outcomes, but just to be faithful and persistent. And persistent has been the watchword for this, because it has been very hard. But I believe that God will begin to show and manifest the result of the hours of prayer. and His grace enabling me to do that. So, yeah.